OnePlus 12 versus the regular S24. And you're probably wondering why I'm comparing these two phones, and it's because they cost the exact same amount of money. So a lot of people ask me, okay, should I get the S24 or should I get the S24 Ultra? Well, there's a lot to like here, and there's some huge differences between these two phones for the exact same price. For instance, with the S24, you get a 6.2-inch screen versus a 6.82-inch screen over here with the OnePlus phone. And as you can see, the cameras on the back are definitely way more robust when it comes to the OnePlus 12 versus the S23. You get a proper telescopic telephoto. You can reach out and touch stuff. You get better overall quality images on zoom. And when you compare the primary sensors, it's pretty close. And you've got the Hasselblad cooperation for the color science and all that stuff too. So it's a big deal whenever you're looking for a price and a phone and getting the absolute most out of it. Now, there are advantages to the S24 over the OnePlus 12, but they're very little. And it's not just because the phone is smaller. It has DeX, it has wireless DeX, it has true IP68 dust and water resistance versus the IP65, which I don't think is that big of a deal, but some people care about that. And you get 7 years of support instead of 5 years. So you get 7 years of operating system updates, 7 years of security patches with the S24, 4 years of operating system updates, 5 years of security patches with OnePlus, but their security patches are bi-monthly. Yes, every other month instead of every month. With Samsung, everybody knows, and if you haven't heard, Samsung is the king when it comes to Android support and software updates. Not Google. I say that it's Samsung. So those really are the few benefits you get out of the S24. With the S24 base model, $799, you get 128 gigabytes of storage. It's UFS 3.1, and you get 8 gigabytes of RAM. Whereas if you take a look at the OnePlus 12, you get 12 gigs of RAM, baseline storage, and you get 256 gigabytes at UFS 4, the latest and greatest that you can get, the fastest, the zippiest, most power efficient, all those great things. But 4,500 nits maximum brightness on this screen versus the 2,600 over here. That's not that big of a deal. Both of them are very bright when you look at them out in the sun. When you have it, of course, on auto bright, adaptive brightness, and it'll kick in, it'll take it all the way up to that max value. That's not the normal baseline max brightness, but huge differences here. Big screen, both 120 hertz refresh rate, both LTPO, both throttled down to 1 hertz. But with the OnePlus 12, you get Quad HD Plus. So you get a higher resolution on the screen, which is also a nicety, and you get a bigger battery. You get 4,000 milliamp battery in this guy, which is actually fine. Like this 24, 4,000 milliamp battery, phone lasts me all day. But the OnePlus 12 goes the distance with 5,400 milliamp battery, even 400 milliamps bigger than the S24 Ultra. So when you take a look at this, this is like the value-packed maximum flagship that you can get in the United States for $799. And people are wondering why, or if you're wondering while you're watching this, why I'm not comparing it to the Ultra, and I will. I have a video coming out about that as well. But I think it's important to highlight some things with the OnePlus 12 here, because you get almost everything that the Ultra has, except, of course, the Ultra has the S Pen, it has DeX, wireless DeX, 7 years, all that great stuff when it comes to support, but it's $500 more. $1,299 versus $799. So when you look at the Samsung scale and you go, okay, what does $800 get me? It gets this, which is a very good phone. And I made a video of my full review the other day talking about it. I really enjoyed using this phone, even more so in some ways than my S24 Ultra. I love the size. I love how easy to use one-handed. I love how lightweight it is. I love it still gets all-day battery. And both of these phones are the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3. But if you're looking for premium, like the best of the best, like the super ultra phone, well, there's really only two phones. Well, you have the Google Pixel 8 Pro, but that's a different story. But most people are probably going to be more apt to buy the OnePlus or the Samsung, and not a lot of people want to spend $1,299. And I don't think Samsung has caught on to that. And that's why I look at OnePlus as being the stronger competitor here in the United States, especially now. I know they're not available at carriers, but you can get them at Best Buy, so that's nice. But they've been very aggressive with trade and stuff. They've had great deals for that. I mean, they had the trade in any phone and get like $100 off. I mean, you could get like an old rotary phone, to my knowledge, and send it in and get like $100 off. But a lot of people who want a big phone, who don't want to spend a lot of money, they want something that's got a Snapdragon processor in it. Snapdragon 8 Generation 3. And this phone has got 5G. It's got wireless charging. And this phone has made some big improvements where previous versions have failed because a lot of people are like, oh, it didn't have the video output on the previous phones. This one has video output. Plug it right in. You can use your headset. You can use your XR glasses. You can connect it to something like as video out. So that's nice. But then you have wireless charging. And a lot of people really ding the OnePlus 11 because it didn't have wireless charging. Well, wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, then you get the 80-watt charger in the box. This phone recharges from 0 to 100% in like half an hour, which is amazing because if you take a look at the S24, it has 25-watt charging. Yes, it has old archaic 25-watt charging, 80-watt charging. And overseas it's like 100 watts, but here due to the power limitations and 110 and all that stuff, here in the States we get 80 watts. But 80 watts is still very substantial. Plus, you get a built-in screen protector, which actually it works out pretty well. As a built-in film-style screen protector on here. I've had no issues with it. I wish it still came with the case, but it doesn't. It comes with the charger and the charging cable inside the box. So very few phones actually give you a charging brick anymore. OnePlus gives you the charging brick. They've made a lot of strides in the last year or two when it comes to their camera software, and I like Oxygen OS. It's nice, it's fast, it's zippy. Haptics on here. They compete with the big boys. It competes really, really well with Samsung. I love the haptics on it. Plus, you've got this beautiful, beautiful display. OnePlus has always been known for having beautiful displays. And the 4500 nits max brightness is insane. I mean, when you compare these phones side by side, they have all the same baseline power, like Snapdragon 8 Generation 3, great modem, great connectivity. There's just very few differences. And the main difference is, like I said, with the Samsung, the S24, 7 years of support, you get DeX, you get wireless DeX, IP68. That is about it. And if you're spending $800 on a phone, do you want a phone that's got basically 3-year-old cameras, it's only got the 3 not quite as capable cameras as the S24 Ultra, or do you want to get something that's more like this? And OnePlus really means business. They've done a lot. They've done a lot of fine-tuning, a lot of improvements to their camera. This Hasselblad cooperation with the color science, I think, has gone a long way. It gets very, very realistic shots in it. The telescopic telephoto is really good. It got so much praise with the OnePlus Open, and this phone, it's a sleeper. And I say that not because, okay, if you're watching my videos, you probably are a very tech-informed person. You probably are aware of OnePlus, but a lot of people aren't. A lot of people just aren't. And all they think about when they think of Android is Samsung, maybe Google, but not so much OnePlus, especially because OnePlus really has kind of backed away from that carrier presence. But that's not really what they're going for. They're going for people who look at value, people who walk into the store and want to buy a phone. And that's one of the reasons why they returned to putting them back on store shelves, like at Best Buy. And I think that was a big move for them. But yeah, there are things, of course, this phone can improve on. I mean, they do need to extend their software support. I know that people kind of scoff at that. I think 5 years is fine. My biggest criticism, though, if they went to 5 years of operating system updates, 5 years of security patches, I would be fine with that. But they need to move to monthly security updates. Bi-monthly is okay, but whenever Google's offering monthly, Apple's offering monthly, Samsung's offering monthly, they need to step up their game in that department. And I told OnePlus that directly. I was like, y'all need to do something about this. Y'all need to do this and get on the board with everybody else. But I think they didn't want to go to 7 years because I think most people still don't realistically look at a phone and say, all right, yeah, I'm going to keep this phone for 7 years. It's going to last that long. I think 5 years is very, very meaningful and realistic way to go about it. There are concerns about screen burning, especially with AMOLEDs. There are questions about how the batteries will hold up. There are questions about a lot of things. So I think 5 years has a lot more meaningful traction whenever you take a look at that. But I think that if you're looking at both of these phones, and people ask me, should I get the Samsung, should I get the OnePlus? The biggest consideration you need to look at, what are you looking for in a phone? Do you want something that takes capable photos, that has Samsung's reputation? Of course, it has a Snapdragon, all that good stuff. But when you look at the baseline model, $799 gets you 256 and 12 and it's UFS 4. $799 gets you 128 and 8. Now, I think 8 gigs of RAM is mostly fine, but really it's mostly inexcusable in 2024 to charge $800 for a phone and have 128 gigabytes of storage. It really needs to be 256. Samsung is just screwing people over and they're sandbagging, trying to get you to pay more money. Now, you can upgrade, you can get that 256, but you got to pay more money for it. So that's one thing. The IP68, I don't think is that big of a deal because IP65 is very capable splash protection, but you're not going to get that full immersion. Drop it in the water, it's going to be fine for 30 minutes at 1.5 meters underneath the water. You're just not going to get that. But I've never run into an instance in my entire life where I've ever had that happen. So I don't think it's as worrisome as most people think. Just don't take your phone in the pool and try not to drop it in the toilet. I know a lot of people like to use their phone on the throne, but try and keep it out of the toilet bowl. That's for other business. So, yeah, there are things that Samsung does better here, but if you're looking for that max value, max flagship capable like experience in a phone, I think this is it because you get the big screen, and of course it does have facial recognition. It has a fingerprint scanner. That's one other difference. So the S24 series phones have the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner. It's more secure, but the optical fingerprint scanner, OnePlus has pretty much pioneered this. I believe the OnePlus 6T was the first one they had with it. It works really, really well. And of course, also you still got the curved edge display on here, which I like. It flows very nice into the form factor and the design language. And you have the ever so popular alert slider that you get with OnePlus where you can flip that up, flip it down. You don't have to go into your settings. So there's some things to be said for OnePlus in the ingenuity department, in the software department. I know some folks don't like the Oxygen OS since it's been bought under Oppo, and that's fine. But I think it still feels very much the same. I still like it. It's quick, it's snappy, it's zippy, and it's a really enjoyable experience. So if you were to ask me which one, and I would say personally, I would probably buy the OnePlus 12 because I like the maxed out flagship, right? I like having better cameras. I know I like having a smaller form factor, but having a big screen, it goes a long way, especially when you're playing video games, when you're watching content, when you're doing a lot of things, especially like multitasking and things like that. You really do want to have a bigger screen, especially if you're paying that much money. If you're going to pay $799, do you want a 6.8-inch screen or do you want a 6.2? And of course, you get that Quad HD Plus instead of the 1080p. Now, 1080p, perfectly fine. I said this in my review. At 6.2 inches, you really can't tell that much of a difference because of the pixel density that's in the screen. Your eyes just can't really detect it. So I don't think it's a criminal thing to not have a Quad HD Plus screen in a phone that small, but in a bigger screen like this, you definitely need it, and you can definitely tell. It's beautiful, it's vibrant, it's bright, and I like the cameras that are on here. I like having a full quad setup with the camera. I like having that telescopic telephoto to reach out. Even if I'm not trying to do 100 times, 120 times zoom, sometimes when you're looking at 20 times, 30 times, you want to have that extra level of detail and sophistication that raw power brings from a telescopic telephoto instead of just the 3 times telephoto you get over here. So there are things that Samsung does better. But when you take a look at both of them at the same price, and if you want to get the most for your money, I think OnePlus wins. And I think that's one thing that Samsung is paying more attention to this year because the OnePlus Open, a lot of people really didn't expect them to come out of the woodwork and basically kick Samsung's butt across the street. Right? They did so much. Samsung has been very lackadaisical. They've been very, very lazy and slow to make very many changes to their phone because they were the de facto only option here in the States. And then the OnePlus Open came out and it really opened up the market. It changed things. And then we have the OnePlus 12. Then we have the OnePlus Watch 2. OnePlus has been firing on all cylinders this last year. And I can't wait to see what they do with presumably the OnePlus Open 2 that we get later on this year. But right now, with the price, with the competition, I mean, it's hard to overlook this phone when you say, okay, S24 Ultra, bam, great phone, best Samsung phone ever, best Android flagship phone you can buy, but you got to pay for it. Like, you got to pay to play with that phone, and $12.99 is a spicy meatball. Like, most people don't want to spend that much money on a phone. So when you look at $7.99, you go, okay, you get this or you get this. It's like when you're buying a car, you're like, all right, this car has these features, this car has these features, they're the same price. This one gives me, it gives me heated seats, it gives me air-conditioned seats, it gives me Sirius for free, it gives me a big touch screen inside of it, it gives me all these extra bells and whistles. It makes it harder to look at the S24 and go, man, I don't want to spend $800 on that. I want to spend $800 on this. So I wanted to make this video because somebody was asking me about the OnePlus 12. Actually, several people were the other day, but there's been a lot of interest in it. Why? Because OnePlus is rebranded themselves with value. Value, value, value. And when you look at a phone like this and you say $799, you go, man, that is a great value. When you look at this and go, okay, $799, it's good, but there are a lot of things Samsung could do better, and they're charging us a lot of money. And then when you take that a step further and you look at the S24 Ultra, $12.99, $7.99. That's a really, really difficult thing to decide on. And of course, you'll look at things at that point like, well, do I need the S Pen? Do I care about DeX? Does 7 years of support really matter? Can I get it at a carrier and finance it? Those are things you'll probably look at in that conversation. But $799, a lot more palatable, a lot softer blow on the wallet. And I mean, just look at this. Which one would you buy for $799? Like, I really like the S24, but if I were going to spend $800 on a phone, I'm probably going to buy this one. So that's all I got in this video. I know there's a lot of back and forth, but I wanted to talk about this because not everything is about name brand. And OnePlus, I think, does have a good brand recognition now. I think it's improved over the years. I know they kind of throttled back a little bit. The OnePlus 8 and 9, especially the 9, was kind of a disaster, especially when the pricing, they tried to charge you $1,000. People weren't having that. They kind of lost their identity. They fell under Oppo at that point. And then they took a little bit of a breather and then came back swinging with the OnePlus 11. And now the OnePlus 12, I think, has continued that journey. And OnePlus, I feel like, has their finger on the pulse of the market a lot better than the S24. Also, one thing I would be remiss to not mention this, you do have the AI features. So if you care about AI, you can get the Samsung AI features that are on here. You get the live translate, you get the interpreter, you get generative editing for the features and all that stuff. There are some cool things that you can do with the AI. OnePlus really at this point has been like, we don't care about AI. Like, it's not there yet. So I think we'll see it at some point. They'll probably license some of those same features from Google, especially if Google Smart wants to make money. And I think OnePlus could take advantage of that. It's got the same chip. It's very, very capable. But I think a lot of people really are not 100% bought in on AI yet. So I'm sure we'll see more of that later. If you care about AI, definitely, that's in the Samsung's realm right now. But this is like the no frills OnePlus like ultra phone that you don't pay ultra prices for. So that's all I got in this video. If you have any questions or comments, of course, please go to the comment section. I'll do my best to get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, if you found this helpful, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.